Whoops. Forgot about a couple things. Exit there. Exit that there. Let's just make sure I got everything set up right. It's been a while. Okay. Okay. Alright. Let's see now. Alright, so that's working out just fine. Alright. Alright. So, hello one. Lunar here. We're doing a special game of... Well, it's an original game that was made called Issunboshi's Tale. The Adventures of the Inch-High Samurai. Let us begin. Now here's the thing. The reason there's no sound to it is because when the game was first made, it has a lot of different qualities of music from other stuff. So because of that, yeah. Right, hold on, let me clean out some lag. Alright, there we go. That should work. So, all the game audio, everything is muted for now. So, we're going to be doing this the best we can. And yeah, sorry if there is a bit of a lag. I'm guessing it's not as clear as it was before, when I tried it before. So I'm probably going to have to clear out some more stuff for it. But yeah, this game, this game was originally made by a friend of mine named Liquid Tension, or LT for short. Unfortunately, he passed away a few years ago. Unfortunately, I still doing this and this to share the hard work he put into this game and everything. Anyway, so even though there's no audio, well, I can't play any of the sound because I kind of get, I would more likely get slammed with copyright stuff on Twitch, and it's like, no, don't want that. So here we go. Okay. Okay. All right. Some people spend their lives dreaming of what they want to be someday. I was like that. Here I am, though, wondering more about what I was to begin with, and just what someone like me exists for and why. My parents were very elderly, have never been able to foster a child of their own, and in the dusk of their lives, they went to a nearby shrine in desperation one day, begging the gods to grant them a child, no matter his size. Obviously, what they meant was that they weren't all that concerned if I was frail or feeble, but the gods have a sense of humor. When they returned home from their prayers, they found me, a baby as tiny as a ladybug. Even upon reaching my full height, it would be generous to call me an inch tall. Therein lied the name they chose for me, Issunboshi, 1 inch boy, a title appropriate for me, but envied by no one else. My aging parents were good to me. As a child, I wanted to help them however I could. I worked hard to try and help them tend the fields, but I was never much use. No, that's too generous as well. I only got in the way. But no matter how downtrodden I became, they assured me that I could do great things. No matter what my goals were, I could attain them. So I decided that I wanted to prove them right, and chose the most difficult goal I could. I was going to become a samurai. Not just a samurai, I was going to become the best that had ever lived. I know, it's a laughable thought to anyone. How couldn't it be? Who could I face in combat that wouldn't just crush me flat? But I had made up my mind. I was a child with a dream, and striving toward it filled me with joy, not hopelessness. My mother gave me a small needle that I worked for days to craft into a makeshift sword, and I started training. Well, training is a term I should use loosely. I had no one to teach me. No dojo, no proper equipment. I only had the dream. I spent my days fighting off insects, trying to infest our crops, and slashing apart fallen leaves. As my childhood passed, it all started to feel right. I was building combat instincts. At least I hoped I was. There was never a proper samurai around to grade the quality of my abilities, but I even practiced poetry and calligraphy. Everything I knew of Bushido, I strove to master, but life on a small rural farm could only take me so far down the road. Late in my teenage years, I came to a decision. My parents took it better than I expected them to. I would cross the river and travel to the nearest town to find someone or someplace that could hone my skills further. To live and train the way a real samurai would. If there's a small rice bowl as a substitute for a boat, I set off. Waving back to my parents, there was no sadness in our eyes. However, we all knew that this was how it was supposed to be. I wanted to think I'd come back to see them someday, but knew that their age made it unlikely. Still, our goodbye was somewhat pleasant. The voyage across the river, well, not so much. It was only a river, to be sure, and a person of normal size would certainly not consider it much more than a boat ride of lower significance. But for me, that river might as well have been that. But for me, that river may as well have been a sea. Its rippling current may as well have been crashing waves. The mist sprayed upon me by the wind may as well have been a typhoon. But I pressed on the opposing bank. Upon landfall, I found myself on the outskirts of the town of Hinoharu. Most wouldn't consider it all that big of a town, but it's big enough to house nobility, and through my eyes, an incredible giant world I'd never seen before. In this world of giants, no one knew of my existence, and no one kept their eyes to the ground. Only by the strength of my dream, and perhaps a little luck, that I mustered the agility to avoid being crushed by the townspeople. There we go. Okay. In a mix of excitement and desperation, I called out to every person I encountered, asking if they needed a samurai. That would be a title I'd never earned, but my youthful exuberance was only met with rejection. Some who saw my size merely bust out laughing at me. Others thought I may have been some kind of yokai and hurriedly moved away from me. It wasn't until I entered the home of a local magistrate that I found acceptance. Well, in a way. When I asked him for work, he seemed quite perturbed that someone like me would have the gall to seek a samurai lifestyle when my size clearly wouldn't allow me to do the duties it entails. I insisted. He rejected me. I insisted some more, and he rejected me some more, but I wouldn't take no for an answer. He was impressed by my resolve and took me in to serve Hinoharu, but did not make me a samurai. Alright, just one moment, folks. Just one moment. I gotta fix this lag. It's getting out of hand. I don't know what is causing it. Oh, let's see now. Yeah, I think I might know what because I think I know what's different. It's because a few things that's kind of large and foul size on here. I kind of hadn't planned on doing this again in a long time, so it kind of never occurred to me to actually clear some things out. So yeah, that'd be part of the reason. Let me do something real fast. Whoops. No, I don't want. Oh, that just made it. That didn't help at all. All right, hold on. There we go. Okay, no, yep, no, yep. Okay. So we're gonna have to deal with this for a little bit, but it actually helps out. Rather, he assigned me to be the personal companion to a young noblewoman the same age as myself, and also the most beautiful girl I had ever seen. I caught a glimpse of her in her garden on my way to the magistrate. I came to find out that her name was Kyoko, and she was living in Hinoharu while her father was leading a distant war against a rival clan. She had spoken to the magistrate of her loneliness and her inability to make friends in town. Within my first days of being her companion, Kyoko and I developed a bond that few can know. Those days turned into weeks, then into months, then into 2 full years. A fondness for each other bloomed. A fondness for each other blossomed beyond fondness. I was in love, but deep down, in spite of all the affection she gave me, I couldn't make myself believe that any girl could ever love someone as incredibly tiny as myself. Her distinguished father would never approve of it. Nonetheless, I learned not to let myself chain down my heart. The townspeople began to talk, but Kyoko and I didn't care. Day by day, more and more, we became the most important things in each other's lives. It was about that time when, while out on our daily walk, we were ambushed by a creature, to be concise, an Oni. I'd always thought these demons of the mountain were nothing more than legends to scare little children. But there it stood, and with no good intentions to bear. I knew from legend that these yokai were said to leave their mountain dwellings from time to time in search of young maidens to capture. I knew it was after Kyoko. Her small contingents of samurai fought valiantly, but ultimately beaten aside like ragdolls by the monstrosity. I leapt from Kyoko's shoulder to stand between her and the Oni, drawn my needle sword from childhood. Funny enough, the beast almost didn't see me, but when it did, I quickly found myself snatched up in its grasp. It was amused. The booming laughter of the Oni was like roaring thunder to my minuscule ears. And then, with a great deal of glee and satisfaction, the gigantic Oni swallowed me whole. It was thought the situation very humorous, eating a victim while eating a human victim without having to so much as chew, but not chewing was its biggest error. I was not, under any circumstances, going to allow myself to be helpless while the Oni went after Kyoko. Trying to think of how I could buy her some time to escape, I plunged my needle sword into the side of the stomach. Oh! I heard a piercing scream that seemed to echo all around me. The stomach muscles tensed up in instinctive agony. Again, I thrust my weapon into another wall of the Oni's gut, and again, and again, and again. I didn't stop. In between blood-curdling cries of pain, I could hear the Oni screeching out for me to desist. But if I were to stop, not only would I find myself digested, but Kyoko would be the one becoming its next meal. I couldn't allow that. Suddenly, in the midst of my ferocious assault with the stomach ensnaring me, I was swept off my feet and found myself being jolted upward. With a loud, agonizing hack, I was speedily ejected from the mouth of the Oni. After regaining my bearings, I looked up to see the huge yokai awkwardly sprinting into the distance, frequently stumbling in pain. But in its haste, it dropped something, a mallet whose handle bore the inscription, Uchide. The people of Hinaharu had heard of the ancient legends that spoke of the power this relic held. Even Kyoko said she heard stories about it when she was a child. I would have called it superstition had an Oni not just eaten me. Focusing her will, Kyoko lifted Uchide's mallet into the air. In a sudden rush of magical energy, something took place that I'd never dared to dream could be possible. It changed my world. It changed everything. I was grown to the size of a normal human being. The magistrate who had taken me in years before sent out an official proclamation that I was granted the title of samurai for my bravery and sense of duty. In this moment of bliss, accomplishing a dream, I made the decision to take a swing at another one. I asked for Kyoko's hand in marriage. I couldn't tell you how amazing it felt to hear the word yes as a response. It took us the better part of a year to track her father down and gain his blessing, but once we finally had, we rushed back to Hinaharu to start planning the wedding. It would take about 2 weeks to get everything set up. Alright, why is my model looking away? But, okay, so hold on. I don't know why my model's just looking lazily to the left. Right, there we go. Oops. But that day never came. Alright, so this is just gonna be a moment, folks. It was only moments after our town scout reported that the farms across the river were burning that Hinaharu found itself burning as well. What brought the Oni to us was anyone's guess, but this time it didn't come alone. Whether driven by the need for revenge, or whether it had simply gone mad, I can't say. But there's something in the eyes of this yokai that wasn't there at our first encounter. Something far more sinister. Something evil. From the feet of the Oni poured forth an army of, well, I'm not sure what they were. For a moment, I thought they were some sort of shikigami. Tiny paper figures were dug sprites inside them, but the appearance was horrifying. But they and the Oni alike did not come to kidnap anyone. They were bent on destruction and murder. I could feel the air of their malice in my very bones. While the Oni wreaked havoc on the town defenses, I ran to assist. Though tiny in size, though tiny in size, wherever these creatures were, they were tenacious. They swarmed the townspeople like mad piranhas, engulfing them and ripping at their flesh until death claimed them. It was sadistic beyond explanation. I led the samurai who yet lived in trying to form a bollock that would prevent them from spreading further into town. But it was a futile effort. They swept through us like water through a net, claiming the lives of many of my comrades. In the midst of the fire and carnage, I sought out the Oni. I was counting on the idea that had come from me, and that if I faced it, it would see no need to continue the maelstrom of destruction. I had little other hope left. I ran through the streets, jumping over the burning timber that blocked my path. Amidst the sea of destruction and brutalized bodies, there was no sign of the foul creature. Then, I thought of Kyoko. Had the Oni come to claim her? With not a sliver of any other thought in my head, I made a sprint for our home. Sure enough, the door had been smashed inward. The smaller yokai didn't have the raw strength to do so. The Oni was in my home with Kyoko. When I entered, Kyoko and the Oni were just staring at one another. No expressions on their faces, nothing. I didn't understand. Nonetheless, I positioned myself in between them and commanded the Oni to stay away. Neither of them spoke. Neither of them moved. It was only after a moment that the Oni slowly began to frown, as if disgusted by something. I was perplexed, but then I heard a voice behind me. It was Kyoko, but at the same time, it wasn't Kyoko at all. It was as though I recognized the voice, but not the person speaking it. I turned to look at her. Her eyes were aglow. A strange aura radiated around her, just like a yokai. You really should come like us by now. I guess you really are a human after all. I'm disappointed. Were her words. Her figure began to warp and change. Everything about her fit the description of a obake, a shapeshifter. Kyoko did what no human has the ability to do. With a mere squeeze of her hand and a visible surge of light from her arm, she shattered Uchai's mallet into nothing but dust. I felt myself changing. The room was getting bigger. With the destruction of the mallet came the destruction of its enchantment on me. Before I could get over the sheer shock of what was happening, both the Oni and the yokai I once called my fiancée Kyoko began approaching. Each of them tried to crush me beneath their feet. They were laughing. I do not remember how I managed to stay alive. How I was able to maneuver out of the shadow of their souls over and over, but I eventually escaped. I had no time for heartache, no time for self-pity. The destruction of my town and all those I ever cared about was only the beginning of something bigger. I had to warn whoever I could to be prepared. I made for the capital of our region, Hokuto. Back in my natural size, I knew it would have been no short trip. But if I could reach it and alert them of the yokai threat, maybe no one else would have to go through what I did. But the yokai must have expected me to. I glanced back at Hinaharu. There was no more screaming. The few buildings still standing were close to collapse from the fire. Everything was obliterated. Everything and everyone. That's when I noticed that a swarm of tiny Shikigami-like creatures were pursuing me. I could no longer afford the luxury of looking back. I ran. I pointed myself in the direction of Hokuto and just ran. From time to time, some of the creatures would catch up, sometimes few, and sometimes not so few. I fought over and over, day and night. I ran and I fought. That is what my life has been for more than 2 weeks now. I've not eaten in 4 days, and I've not slept for longer than that. I've been too tired to keep track. I knew I was getting close to the capital, and yeah. I'm sorry this has been lagging so much. I found a secluded little hole here at the edge of the forest leading to Hokuto, and stopped to rest and meditate. Stopping is something I wanted to do, but my energy was spent. I would not have survived the rest of the way. At least I begun to catch my breath. A warm futon would have been nice, but when you're exhausted as I've been, a pile of soggy moss doesn't feel so bad either. Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna have to go through and see what's causing this lag and all. But yeah, that was pretty much the prologue of leading up to now. The beginning tales of a samurai who's known as the one-inch tall samurai who's pretty much gone through hell and back so far. Alright. Now then, I actually did have a couple people I knew do some voices for them, because I was going to have them be added to the game. But since I couldn't unlock the file to do so, I was unfortunately unable to do so. I was going to have the voices be voiced over the text the way it is right now through videos. And let's say, yeah, it's not as easy as one would think. Plus, then again, I did this a couple years ago when I actually had the funds, and I did the two who I got to do voices for. I did pay them, yes. Because let's face it, if you're gonna have someone do voice work, especially of the VAs in training or pursuing to be VAs, you gotta give them you gotta pay them for the hard work that they give you. Don't try to backtrack it or anything. Hard work needs to be paid for. and showing off. Anyway, yeah, must have been drawn to the fire. Yeah, normally this would be a little bit faster, but I think it's probably because of something else. Because since I have the sound muted and all, plus this did kind of up, plus the OBS kind of did update a little bit earlier. It's like, yeah. Yeah, normally there'd be good music to go with this and all. It's like I said, because of all the music that was used for this when it was being made, it's got a lot of tracks in it that would kind of cause some copyright problems. Players. Alright, so Joso Sakin. That's is a strong tag against plant type foes. However, we kinda can't afford to, use our skills that much right now because unfortunately we only have so much items we have on us. Aqua Soul recovered a small bit of HP. Skydude recovers some SP. And we don't know when we're getting them again. So in times like these, we have to persevere. Make do with what we got. Okay, yeah, I know this is a little bit ridiculous now. It should not be moving that slow. Alright, hold on. After it does this set of attacks, I'm going to try to fix this a little bit. Because this is starting to make me mad. But I think one of the things causing it is probably VC face, because for some reason it gives so much lag to everything else. Like, it makes no sense. Alright, so just one moment, folks. Just one moment. Oh, let's see now. What should I do? What should I do? What should I do? Here we go. Settings. Okay, so let's see now. Oh my goodness. I'm not gonna worry about the OneDrive right now. Let's see now. Size. Alright, so let's see now. Yeah, I'll just uninstall that. Alright, so yeah. Because 94 megabytes to, yeah. Come on, uninstall. Like that. Okay, now it's saying encoding overload. Great. Video settings are fine. It's just, Alright, so let's see now. Okay, there's. Almost finish. There we go. There we go. Hopefully that'll help a little bit. No, yeah, it's just like I thought. It's VC face for some reason. I don't know why. Like, it's giving so much lag to stuff like this for no reason. Yeah, that should have been a lot faster. I'm getting flashbacks to my first stream of this. And by that I mean when I did this on Twitch earlier before. I'm still trying to figure out why I even try anymore at this point. Let's see now. Limit. No, it needs to be at 100, so yeah. We're using Aquasol. Ah, bright light. Alright, yeah, no, this is just ridiculous. Yeah, it's. I'm gonna have to find out what's causing it though. Because this should not be slowed down this much. If I'd known this was gonna be an issue, I wouldn't have done it in the first place. And now I just feel bad again. Great. I'm probably gonna have to cut this one off shortly and probably switch to something else. Hopefully it'll work a lot better. And plus, at least this way I'll actually have something with sound too from this an actual game. And yeah, I wanted to show this off and everything, but it's like, if it's gonna be like this, I'd rather have, I'd rather not have end up doing stuff like this, being so laggy and all. Run yo don. And even the sprite for the attacks moving is so slow. It's like I said, this should not be this slow. Like a battle like this shouldn't be going like taking 5 minutes or so. Almost 2 turns. Oh, you know what I mean. I'm more than likely gonna have to call this one a failure as well for streaming. At least the sooner I get it done, the better. Ugh. Hacha! Yeah, get the little victory dance and all. Alright, right. More narration. There'll be more coming. It's dark, but I'll have to keep moving. Let's see, now this should be the safe point. Yeah. Alright, so... Yeah. So what's gonna happen here is... Well, okay, we're gonna heal up and then save again. Hello, Fluffle King. Unfortunately, because of all this lag, which is really driving me up a wall and everything, and we're barely 40 minutes in, I'm gonna have to end the stream because the lag is killing it. I don't know why it's gotten so laggy like this. I don't know. Well, I know it's a really short stream and all. I'm sorry for taking up everyone's time like this, but I'll try to get it fixed and see what changes later. I'll talk to you later. This is Luminar, and I'm heading out. Bye.